This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
Songwriters, performers, and COVID-19 on this edition of inStudio. COVID-19 has hit many industries hard, including the music business. How are artists and performers coping? On this edition of inStudio, we'll chat with a group of ladies who are making the very best of a challenging situation. Jessie Ritter is a country artist and songwriter. She splits her time between Nashville, Tennessee, and Gulf Breeze, Florida. Currently, she is working on her second album. Dani Carroll is from Southern California and has been writing songs since she was 9 years old. She now lives in Music City. Reneda, Pasquale, and her husband, songwriter Jim Pasquale, are founders of the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival. Since the beginning, she has served as organizer and coordinator. Tris Weeks is a singer-songwriter who started performing at age 8 and writing songs at 14. She's a freshman music major in college. Goldie Lahr is a singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist. Originally from Fort Worth, Texas, she began performing at age 5. She now calls Pensacola, Florida, home. Ladies, welcome and thank you so very much for joining us. What a great pleasure to have you all with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reneda, let me begin with you. You started the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival, you and your husband, and of course he is a professional songwriter. What are folks in the industry telling you these days? How are they dealing with this COVID-19 crisis?
Well, thanks, Jeff, so much for doing this. We really appreciate it, and the fact that we're going to be able to hear the writers and how they are coping with this pandemic that we're going through. I'm hearing a lot from different people, and it's different in everybody's life, because some people are, able to do the Zoom and the virtual shows. Some people are not able to do them, and so it's hitting everybody differently. Of course, the artists, they're not able to get out there and perform, and our songwriters that are performers that make their living performing are not able to get out there as well. And so it's been quite a challenging time in different ways for all of our musicians, songwriters. So.
Dani, I was talking to you earlier on the telephone, and you said there were some parts about this that you like, the performing online and whatnot. What's attractive to you about that?
Oh, wow. Well, I've had friends for a while now trying to get me to perform online, and so this was kind of the catapult to make me do it. But I am also a mom of a couple of young kids, and so it's definitely been a challenge to play out live for me. So being able to do it from home has been kind of the silver lining in this for me. So, my husband and I have spent some time kind of like figuring out how to stream online, and it's been fun. I've been doing it every Friday, pretty much. So.
You're right there in the heart of Music City in Nashville, Tennessee. What are your colleagues telling you?
Well, a lot of them are asking me, what I'm doing or, how I'm doing things. And so I've been kind of helping them. And I think it's cool. I mean, they're all doing it too. I've definitely enjoyed seeing a lot of people that I don't normally get to see play, like Ray Scott and Walt Wilkins and, some really great musicians that I wouldn't normally get to see if we weren't doing this online streaming.
Understand. Jessie, you go back and forth between Florida and Nashville. Kind of what are you hearing?
Yeah, I think things are opening up here in Florida a lot sooner than they are in Tennessee. And I think people are just being forced to be creative. So we're kind of taking any opportunities we can to do some outdoor events that are happening, but you kind of have to take it on a day-to-day basis. Like, everyone is forced to be much more flexible because you really don't know until the day of what is going to happen. Like, I was supposed to have a show on Friday, and on Friday morning, all bars in Florida closed again. So you just kind of have to roll with the punches, but we're like playing online and finding that maybe it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be. And there's positives there and it is kind of enjoyable. And like Dani was saying, we get to hang out with our families a little more, which is a gift, and keep going day to day.
I understand. How about you, Goldie? I know you perform a lot around Florida. What are you seeing?
Yeah, it's been interesting doing the online Facebook Live shows because it's a whole different audience than who would be able to see me around Pensacola. It's a lot, since I travel a lot, I get to, in the audience, I get people from all over the place, which I think is kind of cool. But it's definitely been very different. You can't feed off the crowd like you could if you were live. So that's been interesting.
Yeah. Tris, you're a college student, obviously. So how has your style or way of doing things changed?
It's changed drastically. I mean, before I was kind of thriving on being able to go to class and be in my choir environment and, have in-person band practices and go out and, like Goldie said, be able to feed off of the crowd and just really be able to get in the moment and feel the atmosphere when you're performing somewhere. But, there is positive. It's been nice to see some people that I don't normally have come out to shows give me more feedback as of late. And so it's good and bad.
What about from an instruction standpoint when you're dealing with your professors? Because this is not like it's a math class or a chemistry class or something. How is that?
For me, it's super challenging. A lot of it has been like, read this thing and then get tested on it. And they'll do a Skype call for the test, but they won't do a Skype call for the instruction. So it's definitely been a really big learning curve. I think I'm having to work a little harder than usual. So maybe I'm getting smarter. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to things going back to normal.
And I'll open this question and have each of you kind of weigh in on this. What about your creativity? This has been a time, I mean, this is a unique time in America for many reasons. Socially, what's going on with the virus, what's going on with the economy. What has that done for your creativity? And I'll throw that as a jump ball. Anybody jump in here? Yeah.
I'll start. So one of the things I feel very torn sometimes splitting my time between Florida and Nashville. I try to spend a couple weeks here with my family, at least a week in Nashville, and maybe another week on the road somewhere else. And it's hard to cram in everything you want to do in 1 week. But now that people are open to Zoom writing, I have been able to write more with my songwriter friends in Nashville during this time than ever before, because we just accepted that this is how we're going to get together, and I can do that from my home here. So that's actually been really cool. And I've written more songs in the last 3 months than I probably did the entire year previously, because that time and creativity is focused on writing and making new things instead of driving 3 hours to a gig and singing all night long. You just are free to create and not perform as much, which at least for a limited amount of time is actually really cool.
I hadn't thought about that, but that's a very good point. I mean, with Zoom, sort of like we're doing right here on television, you're able to bring a group together, and you find that relationship is probably not quite as good as being in person, but it's still pretty magical, huh?
I think with people you have written with before, it works really well. It's kind of odd. I've done a couple writes with someone for the first time over Zoom. And it's a little weird to feel like you're getting to know someone on a call, but even those turned into really cool songs. Lyrically, it's easy to get ideas across. Melodically, it's easy. It's a little hard to show guitar parts and intricate musical ideas over the computer, but for the most part, you can write a song and it's not nearly as weird as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Dani, what about from your perspective?
I actually had been doing Zoom before this started, so it was very easy for me. So one of my friends that joins me down at the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival, my favorite show of the year, Donna Britton, she lives in Virginia. And so we write on Zoom all the time. And so we've continued doing that. We've probably done it a little more now that, she's more at home and I'm more at home. And so that's definitely the time factor has been awesome. But I feel a little bit more able to write what I want to write. Being that, I'm not only like writing for my industry, but I'm also writing for myself. And, with the live streaming, I like being able to, I'm like, hey, I want to try this. I want to do this. It's a little different in the Nashville industry because you're writing for like maybe an artist or the market or whatever. And so it's really nice to kind of open up creatively. So.
Goldie, how about you? Do you find it somewhat therapeutic during this time to sit down and write a song?
So, like Jessie said, before COVID, when I was performing every, evening, or every day, songwriting definitely took a back seat, but now it's been fun. And like Dani said too, it's fun to kind of write things you would never really have time to do. Like I wanted to do a lullaby album for my nieces and nephews, and I don't think I would have had time to do something like that when you're in the thick of things or performing a lot, or like Jessie said, driving somewhere for all day. You're in the car. I suppose you could write there, but it's not quite the same.
Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. I've had some people that I am not super close with reach out and want to write songs together. And so that's been a unique and fun creative experience. But also for me, I take a lot of inspiration from being out in the world and just seeing things and hearing people say certain things. And so not having that has been a challenge, but it's forced me to look for inspiration in places I probably wouldn't have looked before. And so I think that's a good thing.
Speaking of that, I've interviewed a lot of songwriters over the years, and I'm always curious, is it a business-like approach? In other words, do you say, I sit down at 9:00 in the morning and I'm going to write some songs? Or is it one of these things that's, sort of inspirational, where you're driving down the street and you see a billboard and you go, wow, that's a great idea for a song? And I'll get each one of you to weigh in on that.
It's definitely inspirational for me. I feel like when I was songwriting with Jessie, she's like, okay, we're doing this now. And I feel like she could just come up. She's like, verse, chorus, chorus. And I was like, what about those trees and the moon and the things?
Oh my gosh.
So that's kind of unfortunate though, because then you just have to wait for it to come. But that's for me. So maybe that's why I only have a handful of songs.
What about you, Dani?
Well, when I first moved to Nashville, it was very much like, typically we start around 10:00 here. And so I would get up, I'd have my whole morning routine, and I'd go to Starbucks, start my ideas, and I'd be at my writing appointment at 10. However, as you know, probably, kids change everything. So, I've definitely had to change up my routine with kiddos. And so I write it all different times, and when inspiration strikes, and I have to kind of write it down as I'm going or record. I love having a phone that can record into now. That's just so awesome. We didn't have that tool a long time ago. So, yeah, no, right. So you can jot down your ideas, which makes it, really nice. So
just having kids make you a different type of songwriter in the type of song you would write, or the genre?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not sure about the genre. I'm usually all over the place genre wise. But because I love everything. I love all kinds of music. But the meaning of a song, and maybe even a song I'd written before. I experienced this last week. I have a song that I wrote probably maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and it took on a whole different meaning now that I have kids. And I literally had not visited a song in years, and I pulled it out and I was like, wow. I'm like, wait, this has a whole different meaning now. So it's definitely changed the way
What about you, Jessie? Are you genre specific, or are you kind of all over the place?
I am very specific. I will pretty much only write country music, and I get like ideas for pop songs in my head all the time. But when it comes out as a full product, it sounds like a country song. I grew up listening to country radio. I know that I want to make country records. So I guess I could write jazz music if I wanted to, but no one would ever expect me to sing that. So I feel like I try to funnel my energy into this very specific type of music. And I have been writing for this new record. So it's kind of interesting because at the beginning, it was just whatever inspiration strikes and kind of writing whatever you feel that day. And then in all those songs, kind of randomly inspired, I found 8 that had a common theme and fit. And then you're writing 4 more songs with a very specific goal in mind to finish out that record. What songs do we want to add to this specific story we're telling? So those are kind of written from a very different perspective. You already know what you're looking for when you're starting that song, as opposed to just letting it be what it wants to be, kind of.
Country music has changed so much.
Yeah.
Certainly in the past 20, 25 years, it's just totally different.
Yeah. There's a lot of room to be creative within the genre now. You can be country rock, you can be country R&B, you can be country hip hop, you can be classic country, you can be bluegrass country, you can be country pop. So I feel like even within that confinement, there's still plenty of room to try new things.
Is that good? What I mean is that good is that, has it expanded the genre of country music in your opinion?
Oh yeah. I think it's so cool that we can hear a Maren Morris song that sounds like soul music next to even Thomas Rhett's record had some stuff that sounded like 80s pop songs on it. It was so cool. So I think it's awesome that you can be creative and tell stories in different ways. But also for me, I love a rule book and some guidelines. So I am totally okay with kind of working within the rules to write something. I always operate that way.
Tris, how about you? Do you consider yourself genre specific, or are you wide open?
I'm very open. I'm a classical music major out at university, and I've been doing classical voice stuff for about 10 years now. And so I think, as much as what I'm listening to is 70s rock and folk and things of that nature, sometimes a little bit of classical influence will slip in there, and I'll be like, oh, this song needs cello and harp, and the melody sounds a little Baroque-ish or something. And so I don't know, I think that's one of my favorite things to do, is just experiment and pull things from different genres to make something that's unique and totally me.
I know Reneda is still hanging out with us. She is joining us via telephone because she is, to borrow an old country song, laid up in a country state of mind way out in the country. And we couldn't get the video there, so she's joining.
Good stuff. I like that.
Your husband, Jim, is a little bit more in the I guess I would say kind of my era of what I think about it in country music, a little bit more of the, for lack of a better term, I'll call it traditional. But does he still write a lot in these days, or does he try to adapt to more of the stuff that's going on today, or is he still kind of following a more traditional way of thinking?
Jim is really a blues guy. Even though all of his success was in country, he's got that blues in his blood, that he just absolutely loves. And he is writing, and he is writing a lot of bluesy type stuff, and and I love it. I think it's great. Of course, I like the country, the traditional country that he does as well. But he was just working on a new song today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the coolest song. Is it air friendly? who knows? You just don't know anymore what line you're going to go in, or what they're looking for right now. So, but he is still writing, yes.
Which brings me to a question that I would be curious for all of you to weigh in on. So, back in the day, it was a big deal. You had to get radio airplay, and all of a sudden, you have these big major companies come in and they, buy all the radio stations up, and it makes it very, very difficult to get in. It's not like the old days where you go take, like Loretta Lynn goes and takes a record to a disc jockey somewhere and it gets played. And I think in a lot of ways that stifled creativity, and I think that hurt a lot of artists. But then along comes the internet, along comes YouTube and all these other things. And that seems to me like, just from an outsider looking in, that allows the lines to be blurred and there be more opportunities. So everybody jump in and give me your thoughts on that.
I think streaming is definitely taking over, and radio stations will be obsolete within 20 years, maybe 5 years. I don't know. It's just the listener audience is totally going to change. But I think right now in country music, radio is still king. If you look at streaming numbers of some of the biggest country artists, like Miranda Lambert is probably the biggest female country artist, her and Carrie, and they're not like number 10 on Spotify. They're some of the biggest women in the genre. And I think even Luke Bryan is not like in the top 20 streaming artists. It's just not the platform that listenership maybe goes to first right now. Even though I love streaming as a listener, I think it's one of the best things that's ever happened. As an artist, maybe not. So I think it's all kind of changing, but right now radio is still important.
Dani, you're there in Nashville. What's kind of the chat about the future of distribution?
Well, you can distribute yourself now, which is really cool for an indie artist. DistroKid and CD Baby and all those things, which is really, really a different way to go versus having a label do it. But I'm loving more and more like YouTube. It's like the new MTV, from, way back when. But I love being able to go on and find new artists and, people who maybe you never would have seen before. You can find them on there. Like I've just heard some mind-blowing like music on YouTube that I don't know if I ever would have heard it, on the radio. So I really love YouTube, and I love the live streaming, on Facebook as well. But yeah, those two platforms I love right now. So,
Goldie, you want to weigh in?
I'm kind of interested in. So, I never thought about going the radio route. My songs kind of don't really fit something that would stream on the radio or be on the radio. So I try to be a little creative on who would want my music. And I kind of think with everyone being independent songwriters, I've been looking into a lot of independent filmmakers. So people in the film industry, small filmmakers who do it for small film festivals and things like that. I've been working with a few of them just on the side, which is kind of fun and different, and it seems to fit my music a little bit better than if I were to try to compete with people who have a lot of hits on the radio or a lot of streams.
Tris, what about you? I mean, you're kind of right there at your age group where the tide is really starting to change. So you probably, didn't grow up with radio ingrained in you, so to speak.
Right. Well, I think social media is probably one of the best things that's ever happened to musicians. I've had people come to shows in different cities just because they like, the outfit I posted on my Instagram. And even though that is kind of a weird thing, like they come in, and I've had people that just liked my fashion that end up liking my music. And so that's a really cool side benefit of social media. I think, streaming monetarily probably isn't going to be as good in the future for artists as radio has been in the past, but I have yet to release any music, so I'm not sure how that's going to go, but.
No, that's true, because with the social media, kind of people get to know you as a person as well as your music. So it's kind of like a fun thing to be able to meet people on the road and say, well, I've been following you on social media, and you might have like little quirks here and there. Like my husband and I love our camper. We've redone this 1964 camper. So sometimes like the different worlds intertwine, music world and like overlanding expo world come together, and you find out, like, I don't know, it's kind of its own little underground community, the social media side is.
And speaking of meeting people and having an opportunity to kind of see them in person, Reneda, let's talk just a little bit about the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival and the challenges that you are facing. And I know we talked off camera about you have every intention of making this work in October. So kind of what are you experiencing? What's the game plan with the festival this year?
Well, we are moving forward. I'm in the process of reaching out to writers, and I'm having good response, and also, hesitant. Some of the people that were planning on coming in, like we had a couple of people coming in, one from Scotland and one from London, and that were coming in this year. And Michael was here last year, but they were planning on coming in, and now they, of course, don't know about a flight in, and we have people coming in from Vegas and don't know about their flights in. So everything is kind of up in the air. But with that said, we will have the festival. If at all possible, we're moving that way. And we have a lot of local people that would surely love to play, I know. So we will make this happen, because what you're hearing here today is the backbone of the music. People need to hear what these girls are having to say, and the struggles that they go through. And I might be a little bit off with this, and I don't know that I hear what they're saying with the streaming and how good it is, and I agree. But I also know that it has hurt the songwriters a lot as far as getting paid. For so long they were doing all this streaming, and none of the songwriters were getting paid at all. So it's been quite a challenge. And then to have this come up and then another challenge, and, we're going to do everything possible to lay out a program for everybody to be able to come and play and be in front of people and hopefully get paid to do what they do best.
That sounds great. We'll all get through this eventually. Challenging times, no question about that. We are having a fascinating conversation talking about songwriting and kind of how the world of songwriting and performance and music is being affected by COVID-19. We're joined by Dani, Carroll, Goldie Lahr, Jessie Ritter, Tris Weeks, and also Reneda Pasquale, who is one of the founders of the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival. And we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I am going to have each one of our songwriters/singers perform one of their original songs. So I hope you'll stay with us. You're watching inStudio on WSRE Television PBS for the Gulf Coast. Back in just a couple of moments. This is In Studio on WSRE Television, PBS for the Emerald Coast. Thanks for riding along with us. We're having a fascinating conversation talking with songwriters and performers and kind of some of the challenges that they're having to deal with during this COVID-19 crisis. Been had a great discussion about kind of the industry and where it's been and where it's going and that kind of thing. So now we get to the part that's really, really fun. We're going to ask each one of them to play and sing one of their original songs. And Goldie, I'm going to begin with you, and you're going to do a song called Baton Rouge. So first of all, tell me a little bit about it. Tell me the inspiration and how you came about writing it.
So I wrote this song about 5 years ago, and it was inspired by some neighbors I had when I lived on the bayou in Milton, Florida here. They were just the sweetest couple, and the wife was from Baton Rouge, and she just had such a fond attachment, or just such a strong attachment to growing up there, and so many memories. And I found that really beautiful. And the husband was from far northeast. So I thought the couple, they were just the cutest little couple. So this is actually their love story. Met her at a bar near the bayou's fog, where the city lights fade into stars. He was a city boy and he never knew Louisiana pines and the sweet perfume. She loved the land to which he grew, was a land her father's father knew. Well, that city boy asked for her hand and promised her riches from another land. Mon amour, it says, très monsieur, mon amour, it says, très. You can take my hand or follow you, but my heart will stay in Baton Rouge. That city boy knew what to do. He built a little house near the Bayou Blue, and with his love he fed her roots that they now shared with children too. Mon amour, it says, très monsieur, mon amour, it says, très. You can take my hand or follow you, but my heart will stay in Baton Rouge. Yes, my heart belongs in Baton Rouge. Those children grew and they took flight, where the stars fade into the city lights. They cried, Mama, Papa, let us take care. Leave the ghost of the bayou haunting there. Mon amour, it says, très monsieur, mon amour, it says, très. You can take my hand or follow you, but my heart will stay in Baton Rouge. Yes, my heart belongs in Baton Rouge.
Very, very nice. Very, very.
Thank you.
One of the things that I noticed is that in your website and all that you're a multi-instrumentalist. So you obviously playing the guitar there, but what else do you play?
So I started off with the piano. My mom was a piano teacher, so I picked up on that. However, she gave up ever trying to give me lessons or anything, but just being around it, I think I picked up quite a bit from that. And then I played violin, classical violin when I was a kid. So I still have my violin, and I like to, anytime I can get away with playing it, I will. But so guitar though, that was something, since you never know if there's going to be a piano and it's hard to haul one around. I was like, well, guitar is much easier to travel with. So I had to kind of fake it or do my best on the guitar.
Is a guitar the best instrument to write a song with?
I think well, I don't know. I love piano. I think it's so much easier on the piano. But usually I'll start with piano, and then I'll figure out how to play it on guitar for when you perform it. But I suppose that's a personal preference. I don't know. Who said that the guitar was like, the first time they ever heard it, it was like a mini orchestra? It's like when the guitar was first created or something. Tris, this is your department, the music history.
Oh, man.
No pressure.
What about the rest of you? Do all of you play instruments above and beyond the guitar? Dani?
Yeah, I mean, I started on piano as well, but it's like you write totally different songs on a piano versus the guitar, and which one's better? I mean, it's just, you just take the inspiration from wherever it comes from. But yeah, I play a little bit of ukulele, and I'm trying to learn the mandolin, but it's a try. I play clarinet too, but hardly anymore.
What about you, Jessie?
I was going to say, sometimes it's fun, even though obviously you're probably not going to do an entire show on a ukulele. It's fun to pick up that instrument because different ideas will come than when you pick up a guitar and maybe play the same thing you kind of gravitate toward playing all the time. So I like challenging yourself, maybe picking up an instrument you might not be as good at, but will force something different out of you.
Right, Tris, what about you?
Yeah, I play a little bit of ukulele, a little bit of piano, a little bit of bass. And like everybody said, it's really interesting to see how different songs can be depending on what instrument you write them on. It's fun.
Yeah. Question to Tris. So do you ever write on like your cello or on one of your other like instruments?
Well, I should have been more specific there. I wish I played cello. I find other people in the music department that play cello. And then I'm like, I'll sing them a cello part and then they figure it out.
That's awesome.
But, I have written some songs on bass before, and that's totally different because it'll, instead of being kind of chord based, it'll be kind of based off of a riff or something. So yeah, I love experimenting with that. And then writing maybe with a cello player sometime could be interesting, and get them to do the hard stuff. And then I'll just come up with something.
Yeah, all the lyrics, that's the easy part. No big deal.
Dani, I want to hear your song, No Rain, No Rainbow. Tell me about it. How did it come about?
How did it come about? Well, it's one I wrote quite a while ago, and I was living back and forth between Reno and Nashville, just for a blip. And so my main writing partner was CJ Watson. Do you know CJ Watson?
I do know.
Yeah, so he was my main writing buddy, and wait, I've even got him back here because this is my set, and he's got to be on my set. There's my CJ. I carry him with me. So, oops, too much glare. There we go. But he's the one that originally brought me down to Pensacola, and so but we wrote this song together, and it was probably one of the ones he played out the most. It was kind of something he always played at his shows, and when he passed away a couple of years ago, I felt like I needed to play it. So I just released an EP, which this is the title of the EP. So,
All right, let's take a listen.
Not afraid of the dark. Life is sweet, but that candy can sometimes be hard. I'm not ashamed of my past, no regrets, and it makes better sense looking back. I may have burned a few bridges, regretted a few kisses, always bet it all, whatever cards I hold. But I wouldn't trade the tears I've cried for hard cash or an easy life. Wouldn't even think twice, 'cause I know no rain, no rainbow. Sometimes love is my friend. Other times I hope love never finds me again. And if I keep driving west fast enough, will I see that the sun never sets? I may have burned a few bridges, regretted a few kisses, always bet it all, whatever cards I hold. But I wouldn't trade the tears I've cried for hard cash or an easy life. Wouldn't even think twice, 'cause I know no rain, no rainbow. And sometimes life leaves a stain that only tears wash away, wash away. I may have burned a few bridges, regretted a few kisses, always bet it all, whatever cards I hold. But I wouldn't trade the tears I've cried for hard cash or an easy life. Wouldn't even think twice, 'cause I know no rain, no rain, no rainbow.
Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Nice.
Thanks, Reneda.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
All the songs in here. Jessie, you have a song called Meet Your Mother.
Yes.
How did that, Meet Your Mother, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
So I was in a very new relationship when I wrote this song. And I think you can tell a lot about a man by the way he treats his family, specifically his mothers and sisters. If he is good to the women in his life, it's highly likely he will be good to you as well. So I was in this phase of new love and wanting to get to know someone better. And I wrote this song before I ever moved down here to Florida. And I was just hearing these stories about how beautiful it was. And I knew I needed to come visit. So this song was kind of born out of that desire to know this place here in Pensacola, and of course, a person much better. Yeah. So this is called Meet Your Mother. Baby, I've been hearing stories about where you're from, what you wanna show me. Let's make it happen, and I'm talking now, 'cause I can't waste another day. Now I know what you're about. I wanna meet your mother, wanna know your pa. I wanna watch that sunset under southern skies, near the water's edge where the crickets call. Somebody might fall in love, or we can pop a top, stay up all night, see where this goes, count the stars above. We still got a lot to discover, but first I wanna meet your mother. I wanna take that back road where you wrecked your first car, that bright red T-top. You didn't get too far. We'll hit that dance hall that I've heard so much about. I'll be the new girl, the talk of this small town. When I meet your mother, when I know your pa, when we watch that sunset under southern skies, near the water's edge where the crickets call. Somebody might fall in love, or we can pop a top, stay up all night, see where this goes, count the stars above. We still got a lot to discover, but first I wanna meet your mother. Yeah, yeah. I don't know where we're going, and I don't know how this ends, but I just know I'm ready for our story to begin. When I meet your mother, when I know your pa, when we watch that sunset under southern skies, near the water's edge where the crickets call. Somebody might fall in love, but we can pop a top, stay up all night, see where this goes, count the stars above. We still got a lot to discover, we still got a lot to discover, but first I wanna meet your mother. I wanna meet your mother, yeah. Hey, la da 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 da
All right.
yeah. She's now my mother-in-law, so it all worked out well.
That's great. That's great. That's great. All right, Tris, we've got the song City of Tomorrow. So tell me about it.
Sure. So I wrote it exactly a year ago, actually. I had just graduated high school, was trying to figure out where I was going to go to college, what this next year would look like. It was an exciting time last year, but it was also terrifying because I kind of picked my college at the last minute and was trying to figure out just all the details that, you have to figure out as soon as you graduate high school. And so this song is about looking forward to tomorrow and hoping that it'll, be brighter than today. All right. So this is City of Tomorrow. Another stage, another night, another day, another rhyme, another band, another guide, another truth, another lie. This age, what is right? Is my life mine? My future alright? Tell the truth and lie. I keep on holding out, holding out. So Something's gotta change. I keep on breaking down, breaking down. I just can't stay the same. Oh, city of tomorrow. Another scare, another fright, another fear, another strife. And another knife, another age, another life. Can I defend myself when there's only anything left? Will I get out alive? Don't wanna die. I keep on holding out, holding out. Something's gotta change. I keep on breaking down, breaking down. Just can't stay the same. Oh, city of tomorrow. I keep on holding out, holding out. Something's gotta change. I keep on breaking down, breaking down. I just can't stay the same. Oh, I keep on holding out, holding out. Something's gotta change. I keep on breaking down, breaking down. I just can't stay the same. Oh, city of tomorrow.
A whole lot of talent on the Zoom call tonight. Reneda, let me shift gears over to you here again, because these ladies, I believe all of them have played the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival at one time or another. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again coming up in October. If folks are interested in being involved with the festival, either as an artist or a sponsor or whatever the case may be, how do they go about finding out more?
They can go to our website, which is pbsf.rocks or Pensacola Beach Songfest.com. And we have a Facebook as well that they can go on and just send us messages, and we can let you know where we are and how, how we're progressing with everything. And, we'd love to hear from everybody anyway. So reach out and say hello. That would be great.
That's And typically speaking, the festival is in October, correct, at the beach?
It is. It's October 1 through October 4. And, we usually have, Jeff, about 100 writers, with the majority of them being from out of town. But we will be cutting back this year, most definitely, probably cutting back a little bit on the venues, cutting back, with the writers a little bit, just to kind of keep it a little more intimate and maybe a little more of a secure feeling. Most of our venues are outside, which is a plus for us because everybody can social distance. So we're going to keep a positive mindset and move forward.
Well, let me go around here and have everyone, I'll begin with you, Goldie, and tell everyone where they can find your music and find out more about you.
Oh, yeah. So my music, I have one album out, and you can stream it or purchase it on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music. And then also you can find more music on my, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, which is at Goldie Lahr.
Okay, very good. And Dani?
So I have my website, danicarroll.com, as well as I have an EP and an entire record and a new one coming out soon here on Spotify and iTunes. But as well as if you would like to come to one of my live streams, I am on Facebook every Friday at 8 Central at Music by Dani, as well as YouTube. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Jessie?
Yeah. So the hub of everything is jessieritter.com, JESSIERITTER. I've been doing Facebook Lives about twice a week. we'll see how those continue as things may or may not open up here in Florida. And I'm on Instagram, jessie.l.ritter, and I save all my live streams to YouTube. So even if you don't catch the original show, you can watch later. And I've got music on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, anywhere you can find it, all under Jessie Ritter, and more to come. So be on the lookout.
Awesome. Tris?
So people can find me at trissmusic.com and at trissmusic on Instagram and trissmusic on Facebook. And I actually just recently started going to a studio with my band to record some original music, and that should be out super soon, so people can stay up to date with me on Facebook and my website and be the first to know when that's available.
Awesome. Thank you all so very much. It was a wonderful time.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I wish you all the very best. Reneda, sorry we couldn't see you on screen. Thank you so much for calling in from the country.
Yes. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there with you guys. And I just want to say thank you, girls, so much. You know how much I love and respect you all and what you do, and you're my heart. I guess everybody always used to tell me that all the songwriters were my children, and I sure have a lot of them. So, Jeff, thank you so much for getting this out there. I think this was a great thing for people to be able to see and hear. So thank you all so much.
You bet. Thank you so very much, Reneda. And we wish all of you the very best. I want to say special thanks too to some folks behind the scene who are working really hard to bring this together. As you know, things are different, and this is not usually the way we make television. But James Roy and Ted King over at WSRE Television are kind of wizards to bring all this stuff together, and they do a wonderful job, work really hard. And then my lovely wife Sherry also does a fabulous job of setting up and making the lighting look as good as possible for what we have to work with. And, heaven knows there's a lot they need to work with here. I need some of those beauty filters. But anyway, a great big thanks to everyone. And thanks to our guests tonight, Dani, Carroll, Goldie Lahr, Jessie Ritter, Tris Weeks, Reneda, Pasquale. And thank you all so very much for watching. We greatly appreciate it. Hey, take wonderful care of yourself. Be careful out there. Thank you for watching. All the best. And we will see you soon.